What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Review for Trigun Stampede. This is episode 3, and with me, as always, I have Bluespid.
So one thing I think, well, actually several things I want to point out. So I finally had a chance to start reading the manga online, and I can already tell that the Trigun Stampede is not following the manga by any means. It's basically just its own thing, I guess. Loosely trying to follow the plot of the manga, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, after the events of this episode, I think it's pretty clear that it's not trying to be, it's not exactly trying to be faithful to the manga. Because, I mean, again, I'm only going off of what I've seen from the original series, and yeah, this definitely did not happen, especially at this point in the story. When I first heard that Knives shows up in this episode, I really had mixed feelings about it because I really didn't feel like they should be showing the villain should be like showing up at this point in the story and just causing all this chaos, but I felt like the way it was done was actually good in this episode, so I was a little bit, I guess, pleasantly surprised by that, because I liked how in the original series they did hold off quite a while until they introduced Knives as the main villain and got into that.
Yeah, I mean the way they presented him here, they featured him almost like this slasher villain of sorts, just basically being this unstoppable, force of nature, going up, just basically just slaughtering anyone in his path.
Yeah, he definitely likes to cut off people's arms.
Yeah. So of course the episode picks up immediately after the last episode, in which they're trying to deal with all these like robot spider-looking things that pretty much can explode whenever they're attached to somebody, and they pretty much like every single robot apparently attaches itself to every single person in town. So Vash deduces it's from a bomber, like serial killer kind of guy. I forgot his name. It's
oh yeah, it was something bomber like was it like HG Bomber or something like that, or I forget.
Something along those. Yeah. So eventually, like they confront the bomber, and of course, the bomber's real objective is to cause chaos to try to steal the last remaining plant in the water factory, and of course, he does manage to steal the plant. But Vash manages to catch up to him and stop him in his tracks. And then pretty much he, Meryl, and I think one other person, maybe I think it's Roberto, pretty much attach themselves to the bomber to pretty much coerce him to deactivate the bombs. So eventually they do succeed in forcing him to deactivate every single bomb attached to everyone. And what was that guy's name? Bossef or whatever. Like, he actually gets killed by one of these like spider bombs. Yeah.
And his father like tries to get revenge by trying to kill the bomber, but Vash tries to stop him.
Yeah.
But
then all of a sudden things. This is where his shit hits the fan, in which Vash overhears somebody playing the piano, and he immediately recognizes it being Knives.
I don't remember that whole thing with Knives playing the piano. Like, is that something they added into this anime? Because I'm kind of wondering about that, because I don't remember that from the original series.
Pretty much everything about Knives in this series is a lot different than than his previous incarnation. Just like you mentioned, like we don't really see Knives, showing himself like this soon into the storyline. I mean, probably the reason because they want to, whoever's making this, I think, what was it, Studio Orange, is trying to make their own spin on the storyline. I mean, they've already done that by removing Millie Thompson from the story and replacing her with Roberto. But unless they're bringing back Millie later in the storyline, I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, also a lot of what Knives does in this episode, I do not remember from the original series. Like, he has these. They gave him like these. It almost like remind me of like the Doc Ock arms, like tentacle blade arms, and also I guess because of his names, Million the Knives, like he has the ability to summon like all these knives and just like and use them. I kind of thought that was interesting though, like how when he did that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's his entire outfit is just all those
yeah.
knives. Like I was wondering about that, like that radical design he had with like that giant hoodie that he that they have him wear, but it turns out that it's just a combination of all of his tentacle knives or whatever you call them, and basically he's just Vash confronts Knives for the first time for whatever how long they've seen each other, and Knives tells Vash why he's going out of his way to protect these people when they're both him and Vash are the more superior beings on the planet, and of course Vash is of course almost like struck with fear, like just trying to confront Knives at this point, and almost like Knives just like I guess in a way trying to gets into his mind of sorts. Just I guess trying to convince him like why he feels the need to protect everyone, and that's pretty much where all hell breaks loose, in which Knives decides to steal not just one but both the plants in the water factory.
Yeah, there's also like I guess two accomplices of Knives. There's this the I think is like bald guy that shows up and he's got like a giant mech, and this little girl that's helping him out. I don't remember these characters. I guess these could be new characters too because I don't remember them from the original series. I do remember the assassins. I remember there's like these assassins that were hired to try to take out Vash, but I don't think these people are related to those characters.
Yeah, I think the guy controlling the mech, they call him the Doctor. I don't think they identified the little girl though, but eventually like they do manage to steal both plants, and I gotta say like speaking of Knives' abilities, he just apparently he's like invulnerable from bullets, and his range is just like crazy, OP at times. Like he I think 3 women who are trying to shoot him down, but then he just like literally grabs both of them and then just rips them apart like in such a gruesome manner.
Yeah, and then of course the bomber dies because he gets his arms cut off by Knives. That pregnant woman was the only one that survived that. But yeah, it just shows like how I guess how like you said, how OP Knives is and just how intimidating he is.
Yeah, he even just in one slash just destroys the giant rock overlooking the town, and they're just basically just pretty much caving in the entire place altogether, and pretty much I guess killing like whatever how many people were left in that town, and then just injuring like the pregnant lady's son to the point where I think that kid,
I think he's dead.
I don't,
Is he dead or
he looks like his he lost his left arm during the all of that,
yeah.
but it's just so bad to the point where pretty much the entire town ostracize Vash to the point where they just don't want to see him anymore.
Yeah. Also, we should mention something else Knives can do. It seems like he can. It seems like he can freeze things, I guess, because he went up to Vash and like touched his gun and like he like kind of froze it or something. And then he mentioned something about like Vash not having access to his gate. I'm guessing maybe it's some kind of magic system or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. But they don't really go into it, so I don't know. But yeah, he definitely has some. I think this goes back to what you were mentioning about his some kind of psychic abilities that Knives has, and maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely displayed a lot of abilities I've never seen from him, from what I remember of the original series.
Yeah. So eventually, Vash decides to head east to go after Knives, and of course, Meryl and Roberto decide to go along with them. I mean, I don't see any reason for them to do so, but they decide to just go with him anyway. Maybe just because they want to make a good story for their. I don't know for.
It made more sense in the original because they worked for an insurance company, and there was so much money on on Vash's head. In this one, them just being reporters, I mean, I guess like you said, it's maybe just because they want a good story or something, but it's just at some point it gets like ridiculous, I guess. Like there needs to be a better explanation as to why they would want to follow Vash around. I don't know. I feel like they probably should just kept that from the original series, that they work for an insurance company instead of her being like a reporter. I don't know. But yeah, so like you said, yeah, they decided to follow him, and that's kind of where this episode ends. Like he said, he's going to to July, which has been mentioned before, like the July, what was it, the military or something like that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so next week's episode, we did get like a sneak preview of the episode, which I think, what was it, Wolfwood is gonna be in the episode.
Yeah, I'm definitely wondering how they're going to handle his character in this in this one. I really hope that there's a lot of they keep a lot of stuff from the original series, because he was one of my favorite characters in the original. So I hope they don't really change too much about him.
Yeah, I mean, well, they already changed up a lot with with Meryl, and then of course retconning Millie, unless they bring her back later.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. If they will, considering that they said it was going to be 12, 13 episodes for the series. Though, like I said, I just don't know how they're going to be adapting this storyline. I mean, they said it's just mostly going to be a loose adaptation of the manga, and considering how much they ended up changing or altering certain things, I can really tell. It's obvious, how much they changed, especially with Knives being the way that he is right now.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about this episode. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Initially, I was a little bit skeptical about this episode, but it turned out a lot better than I thought it would. Considering how they presented Knives as a more threatening villain than he was back in the original series.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like he was a threatening villain in his own way in the original, but it seems like they definitely have a different approach to him in this series, which I thought was kind of interesting. I mean, it's obviously it's a loose, like they were saying, it's a loose adaptation to the manga, and they're definitely changing a lot. But I kind of find it interesting what they're doing with them in this. So I'm interested to see more. But yeah, so that all being said, guys, until next time, we will see you all later.